Hello, and welcome back to Midwest Charge. You joined me today in Lima, Ohio, because we are investigating a couple of new IONNA sites that have cropped up here in the Ohio/Midwest area. This is an IONNA station at a Wawa, just off of Interstate 75, and it's in, I want to say within like a quarter mile of the freeway, which is super awesome. So Lima, Ohio, northern-ish, kind of mid-northern Ohio, I guess is the best way I can describe it. I'll put it up on the screen here, kind of where it is on the map. But good strategic location by IONNA. There are a whopping 18 plugs here. That is crazy. There's not a whole lot around here, but you know, if you're passing through, this is the station to be. No canopy, but there are multiple well-maintained recycling bins and trash cans. And there's also consistent lighting across all 18 bays, which is super duper cool. As always, it uses the HYC400, which is Alpitronic's 400 kilowatt charger. It allows for 400 kilowatts, I believe, from every single port. If I remember correctly, the HYC400 does 400 kilowatts peak, so 200 and 200 when there are two vehicles sharing, but up to 400 if there's just one vehicle on the dispenser, which is a crazy amount of power. So that's pretty awesome. One thing that I don't like too much about this site is there are these signs here, and I will get some B-roll of that to put in the video. But basically, the sign says all vehicle parking welcome. And that is something that we have started to see across a few of the different IONNA Wawa partner sites. And I think it sends the wrong message. I understand what they're trying to say, which is, you know, hey, if it's overflow, you know, if parking lot's overflowing, you know, this is a spot you can park. But it also just encourages people to display bad behavior when it comes to parking in the spots and not charging, or, you know, parking a not electric vehicle in the space when they don't need to. So I think if they're gonna have a sign like that, I think they should just remove it, just not have any signage at all, rather than having a sign that specifically allows other people to park here. You know, they don't have a sign at the gas pumps that says, you know, all vehicles can park here. That's just weird. So I'm not totally sure why they do that here, other than it's just a quirk of a Wawa IONNA partnership thing. This site is split with 18 bays, and there are 10 CCS and 8 NACs, which I think is a very good split. Probably a little bit heavy on the NACs right now, but I don't know what the cable life, you know, they're expecting from these cables, if you know, if they're going to wait 5 years to change out these cables and then add more NACs as they go, or what exactly their strategy is for shifting as they go. But either way, it's a healthy amount of cables for each version. You know, 10 CCS, 8 NACs, that is a lot of each one. Super reasonable pricing as well, 39 cents per kilowatt hour, which is amazing. I love that the IONNA network has not gone the route of, you know, EA, BP Pulse, especially EVgo, has some just shockingly high prices. And I know some of it is down to the utility in the area and all of that. But yeah, I'm really glad to see a network that's competing with Tesla, not only on the size of the sites themselves, but also competing on the pricing. You know, like I said, 39 cents per kilowatt hour, that's certainly more expensive than you'll pay at home, but very, very reasonable for a road trip, and far less than you would pay at, say, an EVgo pilot station, for example. One of the things I really like most about IONNA specifically is they tend to choose a lot of very good locations. Location seems to be one of the most important things to them, which I really appreciate. As an example, here there's a large brand new Wawa, and it is open 24/7. This is a something that has frustrated me with Electrify America for years, is they will put their sites somewhere with limited amenities. And of course, not everywhere, you know, has to have 24/7 open all the time, everything. But if I'm on a road trip, especially if I'm doing a long drive, you know, many hundreds of miles, or overnight, or in late evening, something like that, I want to stop somewhere where I know that I can go use the restroom, get some food, get a drink, you know, whatever, while I'm on the road, and not necessarily have to worry about, oh, you know, am I going to get there 15-20 minutes before closing, you know, stuff like that. So I really love that the IONNA Wawa partnership has worked out so well, and they've been able to put together so many charging stations and sites and work together on this, because I think Wawa is just an amazing site host. And I hope to see more sites like this from IONNA and from other CPOs. You know, if everyone could step up their game like this, you know, make sure that the new sites going in are at places that have, you know, good food, drink, restroom options, and are, you know, open at least, you know, 14, 16 hours out of the day. That would go a long way to making road tripping much more convenient. Also, if you ever find yourself in Northern Ohio, it's not too far off of Interstate 75, but the National Bicycle Museum is over here in this kind of northern-ish Ohio area, and it's, or northwestern Ohio area, and it's super cool. I've been there 2 times, and I would highly recommend, highly recommend, for sure. And with that, we are 101 miles from the next IONNA that just opened recently, so I'll see you there. Hello, and welcome to the Wawa in Richmond, Indiana, the site of another brand new IONNA site. Interestingly, this one is co-located with an IONNA and also a Tesla supercharger. So we'll be checking that out as well, just doing a quick little B-roll of that. But interestingly, Tesla has the smaller station here, which usually doesn't happen. Typically when multiple CPOs are in one location, Tesla tends to be the one with the most stalls, but not at this location. Let's start with the Tesla side. As usual, we have 8 version 3.5 or V3 Plus chargers, 325 kilowatts max and open to non-Teslas. So they have the new version 4 dispensers that have much stronger liquid cooling, but are still limited to 500 volts. So if you have a 500 volt, if you have a high voltage vehicle, then you probably don't want to be charging at the supercharger. You're probably going to want to go just around the corner to the IONNA station, which is in the exact same parking lot. Over here on the IONNA side of the house, we have a 12-stall IONNA station. There is no canopy. Sorry, there's some people yelling. There is no canopy. It doesn't look like there's going to be plans for a canopy, but we do have good, even lighting across all 12 stalls. 8 of these are CCS and 4 of them are NACS. So a little more of a, would that be 67-33 split here, which I think is a little more in line with the market right now. There are many more CCS cars than NACS. I'm sure that will eventually change, but here in really more mid 2026, that's just not the case. And especially with most Tesla owners not bothering to go outside of the Tesla network, most of the people I think who are going to be charging here at IONNA, of course I don't have the data to back it up, but I think most of the people charging at IONNA are not going to be Tesla drivers. So I think this 67-33 split is really the right way to go right now. But like I said, I'm sure that will shift over time. As always, being located at a Wawa, the interior is open 24/7, which is awesome. Large convenience store inside. They have food, they have drinks, they have good, restrooms that are clean, and they even have, 16 gas pumps. So there's actually more EV chargers here between Tesla and IONNA than Wawa's own gas pumps, but I don't know, I just thought that was kind of cool. But no matter what you drive, they got you covered here. Gas, diesel, there's a truck port, supercharger, and an IONNA. So pretty much any type of fuel you need, they got it. Interestingly, it seems like it's a relatively busy place here. We are here at kind of off-peak times on the weekend, and there's a few vehicles at IONNA, and there's a few vehicles at Tesla. So it's not like the utilization is super low, and like I mentioned earlier, the amenities are great. I do wish there was a canopy over this site, but I understand there are some zoning regulations and stuff that IONNA's talked about in the past with other struggles. I think with their Sheets partnership, where I guess, I don't fully understand, local zoning laws and all that, but it's my understanding that apparently quite a few, areas where they are governed by local zoning laws have a restriction that you can only have 1 or 2 canopies or something like that. And so if you have a canopy over the gas pumps, you have a canopy over your diesel pumps, you might not be permitted to add another canopy. So it's understandable, but kind of a bummer, because it would be nice to be shielded from the elements. By the way, if you're enjoying the B-roll and or you have some feedback on it or ways to improve, please let me know. I am new to drone flying and all that, so I figured I would add some B-roll here from it because it's kind of fun to fly around. It gives you a unique perspective of the charging station. I'm extremely glad that IONNA is working on these high-profile build-outs of large charging stations along a lot of interstate corridors. I think that's been something we really haven't seen much since Electrify America did their build-out in the late 2010s, early 2020s there, kind of the 2019 through 2022 timeframe, where they were just mass building out all over the place to connect the country together. And I'm really glad to see IONNA starting to do the same. I think there are still some weak points in the network, particularly the middle of the US, and I don't mean like the Midwest, I mean like the northern routes, the southern routes tend to be pretty well covered so far, but the kind of just the middle of the United States itself has not been, doesn't have great coverage of IONNA yet. What I would love to do is to one day take a road trip from Ohio to Florida using nothing but the IONNA network. I think that would be pretty awesome, but unfortunately we just aren't quite there yet. So fingers crossed we'll continue to see just a crazy ramp in IONNA stations being built and partnered and set up. I mean, at the pace they're going, I don't doubt that they'll have great coverage soon. I mean, in a matter of months, even, tens of months, not years. And so I'm very excited to see that, again, especially if they can continue with their competitive nature, making sure that they have amenities that draw people in, making sure that they have prices that will entice people to come visit. I think they're doing a great thing for the industry. And to be clear, I am not trying to just sing the praises of IONNA and pretend there's nothing wrong. They certainly work very, very hard to keep their network up, but there have been, I've experienced issues. I've recorded it on this channel in the past where, every now and then there will be some cable maintenance issues or little things like that, that I think they are working on and are still doing better than most CPOs, except for maybe Tesla. I think Tesla still has the edge in not just proactive maintenance, but also reactive maintenance. But I am surprised that IONNA, with how new they are doing as well as they have been. And I really hope that as they scale the number of stations massively, that they can continue to scale their maintenance accordingly, so that we have a reliable nationwide network, not just another nationwide network. And with that, I hope you enjoyed visiting these two new IONNA stations here in the Ohio, Indiana, Midwest area. And next time, we'll get to see a 0 to 100% charge that I did at this very DC fast charger. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.